Now we're going to look at one of the most important elements of our website, and that's the navigation bar. It's absolutely vital that we have clear and consistent navigation so that our users can easily navigate around our website and find the information that they need. We're going to use nav tags and some lists to create this. This is a very typical structure that you'll see across all websites. Then we're going to use some simple CSS to style the links. So back in our brackets document here, I've tried to realign the windows and increase the font size here a little bit so it's easier for you to read what I'm doing. So you can see the live preview down the bottom and the code up the top. In this header section here, this is where we're going to add our navigation bar. So underneath the main heading, I'm going to create a new set of tags, which is the nav tags. This is an example of semantic HTML, which is where the tags themselves describe the content of the page. The next thing I'm going to do is start my list, because each of the buttons or elements of our list that can be clicked on are going to be list items. I'm going to use an unordered list because we don't need numbers in this case, and remember it's li for your list items. The first one I'll call my mountains, and then remember the keyboard shortcut Control D. I'm going to duplicate that twice, and I'll change the second one, and then I'll put in 1/3 page that we could link to. And now if we quickly check down on our live preview, you can see these elements have been put in here. Now notice that you can't see the bullet points to the left. That's because we set the margin to 0. So if we go back to our CSS, you can see that for everything on the page we set the default margin and padding to 0. If I change that to 20, let's say 20 pixels, you can now see the bullet points that are in there. I'm going to get rid of that because we don't want that for now, but I just wanted to illustrate that for you. So back in our index we have our list items, and they're part of an unordered list which is nested within the nav, and that nav is part of the header element on our page. So you can see in brackets with the live preview, when I click in part of the HTML, it highlights in blue that particular section. So if you click in the nav, it highlights this part here. UL will be the same. This li is just the top one. Header is everything with h1 and the nav elements there. That's really helpful for you to see what's going on. Now at the moment these are just text that aren't actually links, so we need to do the same thing that we did in the previous video and convert them to links using the anchor tag. We need to think about where we want to start and stop the A tags, and we just want this text here to be clickable, so we're going to put the opening A tag directly before that and after the li tag, so A href equals, and in this case I'm just going to have it go to google.com, and remember it's target equals blank to make it open in a new tab. Then I need to close that opening tag. You can see again brackets has automatically put in the closing tag there, which we don't want because we need to have it after this text, so I'll cut that out, and after my mountains paste that in. Okay, now if I come down to my live preview, you can see that that's now been turned into a link, and you can click on it and it opens up in a new window. Okay, so we're going to repeat that for the other two navigation elements. Right, so I've finished off the other two there. They all link to Google at the moment. We'll change that later on to link to pages within our own website. It looks a little bit messy here with the large font size I've got. You should see this all on one line. This represents one of these list elements. So you have the li opening tag and the closing tag at the end, the A tag, which is going to control your link, where it goes to, opening in a new tab, and you have the content on which the link is placed. Same thing for the other ones there. It's always really important to test that your website is working as it should. So we can quickly go through and check all of those links and they're all functioning correctly. The last thing we're going to do is use a bit of simple CSS to change the way these lists are displayed. So if we go over to our style.css, I'm going to put a new rule in at the bottom, and I'm going to apply this to the body elements. And I'm going to put a margin left of 20 pixels. And you can see what's happened down here in our live preview. Everything that's part of the body, which if we go back to our HTML, is everything from here down to the bottom, which is in fact all of the content of our web page. has now got a margin on the left hand side of 20 pixels. I've done that so we can see these bullet points down here. Okay, we don't want those there for our navigation, but we do want to keep them down here. So these are part of an unordered list, so we can make a rule like this, UL, and the property that we have for controlling what is displayed here is list style, and you can see as soon as we type in that property it comes up with our options, and we want to use none. Okay, so that's worked correctly up here. We've got rid of those bullet points, but unfortunately we've also got rid of those ones down here. So this is something that's really important for CSS, that when you define these rules like this, that's going to apply to every unordered list on your web page, unless you provide more specific CSS rules. So what I mean by that is you can type in here before that nav space UL, and now this only applies to the unordered lists that are nested within the nav section. Okay, so remember back here in our HTML you have the nav tags, and inside that we have this unordered list, which is where our navigation elements are going to be. The next list comes lower down and is no longer in that nav section, which closes here. So in our CSS we can define rules like this, and you could even have another level or two if necessary. Nav, and then you have a space, and then unordered list. This means it's only going to apply to these elements within the nav section, and that's what we're after in this case. So have a go and make sure you can get that working on your website as well, and I'll see you in the next video.